Guys, good evening. We have an interesting thing. We are very honored to have Professor Mahendra Patel sir here from Oxford University. He is a Nobel Prize equivalent Pierre Gallin Award winner. So all of our viewer, the entire IPC, I request Dr. Vishala Madam and Dr. Ramkishan sir to welcome Professor Mahendra Singh Patel.
I mean, I'm often coming to the Congress. I have been for the past 6 Congresses, and it's a delight. But I just want to share, I think possibly this might not be the right platform, but we can see the adaptability in view of what we've heard and the excellent speech. I could take your slide presentation and promote it. I would love to share it with my students and people in the UK. I think it was very inspirational, but also around the COVID vaccine work as well. Can everybody hear me? Right. So I'm going to start off really. Has anybody heard of the Pre-Gallian Awards? No. So I don't like to shout about myself in any way. And thank you for the very warm introduction you've given there. It's a little bit, I didn't know where to put my face at the time. But I'm the director for the Centre for Research Equity at the University of Oxford. This is quite historic in many ways. And of course, I'm honored to present on behalf of our team, the Panoramic and Principal team at the University of Oxford, as we celebrate our achievements in winning the UK Pre-Gallian Award for Best Public Sector Innovation. And our presentation will be around the 3 main areas: understanding the significance of the UK Pre-Gallian Award, and an overview of our award-winning project, the Principal and Panoramic Trial, and my role as a national lead within those trials, in terms of how we can make inclusive and equitable recruitment strategies as part of a feature in the strategy that's been developed, in ensuring that we engage as many people as possible from diverse backgrounds and those people that are adversely affected by COVID. But I'd also like to share a little bit of my background. You probably detect by my English accent, but whilst I was born in England, and my parents come from a humble background, and I hope this inspires you people. This is probably why this talk was supposed to be yesterday, and sort of just suddenly slid into here. So even I can't fit it into, so I feel apologies for that. So I'll just try and adapt as much as I can. And I'm passionate to be an Indian. And I'm a Gujubai, I'm a real Gujarati person, even though I've lived, we've been in England all this life. And I'm a strong believer in my faith. And I'm very fortunate, very blessed. But I always say either it's faith or I am just born lucky, I don't know. But you can see there that I still have my Ganesh in my house, which I bought from Mumbai as one piece. And it sits with me in my room, giving me company when I'm on my own. And he's very lifelike and very, very sizable. I have a state school education, and there's a reason why I'm giving you this. And I'm a pharmacist. So for the younger people, which is possibly what I'm going to focus this on, rather than the technical aspects. And in summary, I'm nobody special. So hopefully, we are all really nobody special, but we're all on the same platform and we can do something extraordinary, is where I'm coming from. So this is the Pre-Gallian Awards. As you haven't heard of the Pre-Gallian Awards, this was possibly, you've seen all the awards that, and it's not about awards, because awards is all about just yourself. That's not why we're really here for. But it is about making a difference and recognizing what we can do for others, which is the purpose of why we're here. I don't know if the video works on here, does it? No, it doesn't. Oh, it might do. Okay, so on 30th of May, the Pre-Gallian Award has been likened as the Nobel Prize for Pharmaceutical Health Research. So it's no ordinary award. And when we were invited and we were shortlisted on behalf of the Panoramic and Principal team, we did not know that we were going to win this prestigious award. So of all the awards that I personally have received, this possibly stood out as one of the best in terms of really making the hair on my hand stand on end. Because this was a recognition. You know, the whole day was something quite special. It discussed the challenges facing the human condition, and specifically those in which the UK life sciences industry is most active. So the Gallian UK Forum was permitted challenging discussions in the presence of representatives of patient groups, regulators, and industry, representing both the European and American perspective on the future of science research. Together with the evening of a pre-Gallian Awards recognizing the best in UK medicine, the events reflect the worldwide mission of the Gallian Foundation to improve the human condition through breakthrough innovations that progress our understanding, the diagnosing, the treatment, and curing of disease. And the award ceremony celebrated the wondrous achievements of our team in robust life sciences industry. And through that, for the first time, it recognized the innovation that are funded and driven by the UK government via our National Health Service and not-for-profit organizations, which led to the UK Pre-Gallian Committee to announce a new award category, Best Public Sector Innovation. This was like winning the Oscars, seriously. And I'm not just saying that. Sorry? Okay, that's fine. Oh, this is, okay. Okay, so I've just been told somebody else is moving my slides. I didn't even know I was not moving the slides. Right. So this is the pre-Gallian. If you click that, I think there's a video on there, is there? Oh yes, there is that link. And this is just to share with you. I want you to be on this platform. That's what I want to see before my life ends. I will be so proud if India could be on this pre-Gallian Awards as the global leaders in life sciences research in terms of innovation, in improving health and health outcomes. Does it work? No, it's not going to work. Please bear with me if you can. Well, I'm glad this has happened today and not yesterday. Okay, so that will tell you about the pre-Gallian Awards and what it means and where we are today. So if you, well, I can't do it without moving the slides. Leave it, don't worry. Indian people are so patient, you know, it's fine. 5 minutes could be half an hour. So this means, I suppose, 10 minutes? That's what he said. This is the beauty about India. So I think, let me just talk while I'm talking about the pre-Gallian Awards. It is innovative. It is not, so hopefully we can have India as a platform on that. And hopefully it inspires you to do something through a collaborative perspective within our health, within our nation, that could be a leader globally as well, through science and innovation. And we looked at a number of things with the trials, with the Panoramic and Principal trial, which were the COVID-19 treatment trials where Oxford University led the world. And, you know, I can see nods from the regulators as well. So this is not me just saying it's Oxford. We were leading the world. And the world's eyes was on the research that we was producing. Shall we leave it? I need to put my slides on. Apologies for this.
Moving to Canada made simpler with Vimo.
That's not me.
Ladies and gentlemen, to announce the laureate in the public sector innovation, please welcome Dame June Rain, committee member of the Prix Gallienne UK committee member.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, what a fabulous evening this has been, and it's almost a sadness to be announcing the last of this year's UK Prix Gallienne Awards. It has been an honour to serve on the Prix Gallienne committee under Sir Munir Mohammed, and what a privilege to be announcing this award, the Best Public Sector Innovation Award 2024. This award recognises the exceptional innovations that emerge from collaboration between UK government, the NHS, and not-for-profit organisations, driving forward the life sciences industry, just as we heard Sir John say earlier. As the largest single-payer healthcare provider in the world, the NHS serves over 50 million patients, presenting unique challenges, but yes, massive opportunities that fuel a wealth of innovations. Many groundbreaking advancements within the life sciences industry in the UK are driven by the needs and the scale of the NHS. To honour the significant contributions and the collaborative efforts between public sector entities, the UK Prix Gallienne Committee decided to establish a new award category, Best Public Health Innovation, to celebrate the dedication and the ingenuity of those working within public sector to improve healthcare outcomes and patient lives through innovative solutions. So now let's discover the nominees for this category.
In the Best Public Sector category, the candidates are Cognitant Group for My Stroke Companion, University College London for Institute of Global Health, University of Oxford for Principal and Panoramic Trials,
All these are remarkable achievements for our nominees, and their work exemplifies that spirit of public service and the relentless pursuit of excellence that drives the life sciences industry forward. So it is now my greatest pleasure to announce the winner of the UK Prix Gallienne Award 2024 Best Public Sector Innovation. And the winner is Principal and Panoramic from the University of Oxford.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Ambassador of the University of Oxford.
Thank you to the Prix Gallienne and everybody who has made this evening such a special thing, and all the work that's gone into all the studies and innovations behind it. The principal trial of repurposed medications for COVID recruited over 11,500 people in the community, testing 7 medications for COVID, and perhaps its greatest achievements was giving the first evidence that early treatment with antibiotics was not effective for COVID, making a huge home run for antimicrobial stewardship. The panoramic trial recruited nearly 30,000 people, and between them, these are the largest trials of therapeutics ever in the community. And we innovated in research methods by taking, using Bayesian approaches to trial design, and in research delivery by building on the amazing NHS that we have and the clinical research networks of the National Institute of Health Research to stand up general practices around the country to recruit patients into trials. But we also innovated by taking research directly into patients' homes, so people with COVID could contribute from their sick beds without ever having to get out of bed to these trials. Most important, we have figured out who should and who shouldn't be treated with antivirals for COVID, setting new standards in trial design and delivery, making sure we don't make the same mistakes as we made with antibiotics, so that we keep the drugs away from those who won't benefit and get them to those who will. So doing trials in the intended use population. And I think we're really proud of the UK and the NHS and the NIHR that made these trials possible for that. But most important, big thank you to everybody in team science, in team clinical science that enabled these trials to happen, and the 40,000 plus patients that contributed their experience and time to becoming part of the solution of new ways of doing research in primary care and fighting the pandemic. Thank you very much.
Well done, team. I had faith in you. Will it go from here? No. Okay, so I will discuss now what we've done. Okay, brilliant, thank you. If this will move now, will it? So that's the award winners. Of course, there was 440 plus people and lots of people over the 4 countries that contributed to the trials. And this is something I'll do very quickly. The principal panoramic trials yielded significant findings. We identified effective treatments that reduce the severity of COVID and decrease hospitalizations. Our research provided critical insights that inform public health policies and clinical guidelines globally. These trials exemplify the impact of rigorous research in improving patient outcomes and shaping health delivery during a global crisis. And you can see some of the things that we did. All drugs were tested, were commonly used in the principal trial to treat other illnesses, including favipiravir, ivermectin, doxycycline, etc. really. Doxycycline and azithromycin, the antibiotics, were proven not to be effective for people with COVID-19. And I'll show you what that means as we move further forward. There we are, All India Institute of Medical Sciences. In April 2021, the principal trial showed that the commonly used drug for asthma, for example, inhaled budesonide, was effective in reducing recovery time by around 3 days for COVID-19, and that there was a high probability that it also reduced hospital admissions. The principle has not only been informing UK standard care for COVID-19, but has been used to inform medical knowledge and best practice globally. While headlines tend to focus on finding positive treatments, we found that using antibiotics such as azithromycin were ineffective for the primary treatment of COVID-19. You can imagine what that means for the antimicrobial resistance agenda that we're all trying to work towards. This was our journey over the 3 years. So whether it was hydroxychloroquine, whether it was budesonide, as we move into June, we were looking at ivermectin, even early April, how we started all this, and then colchicine and favipiravir. In terms of, we were looking, and the platform trials were quite unique because we could use multiple treatment arms at the same time. And we were really pioneering this methodology. And we were doing it at pace and at speed. And you can't see this, but this was all the publications around, whether it was doxycycline, colchicine, inhaled budesonide, ivermectin, azithromycin, in terms of all the research in very high-level journals nationally and internationally and globally that was making an effect. So that this was informing clinical practice all around the world. And the panoramic trial which followed in December 2021, this was the one that everybody was watching. We were the first in the world to be licensed to trial out a novel antiviral, which was molnupiravir. And this was when everybody, the COVID rates were increasing at a very fast pace, reducing hospitalizations. Early treatment is what we wanted. Is there something that we can find that magic bullet on? And it investigates a range of potentially groundbreaking oral antivirals. But the beauty is this could be taken at home by people at risk, age 50 or over, and 18 to 49, with pre-existing conditions, as we call vulnerable patients, in the early stages of COVID-19. You can see the challenge here. They had to be in the very early stages, 5 with principal, I think it was 12 days, with COVID, with panoramic, it was 5 days. We needed to get those people into the trials within that small time frame, at pace, at scale. That was the challenge. We talked about challenges with the vaccines, and this is how we had to do it. And how do we get people where they really don't want to engage in trials as well, which is always the culture. And you can see that the panoramic trial broke all records. 25,500 patients were recruited within just over 4.5 months. That is the fastest recruiting, largest clinical trial in primary care you would ever see. And I'm just trying to give you the impact, the size of the achievements here. And this was a journey of the panoramic up to January 2023, when we started from December, looking and then we're coming through the different, the top line sort of shows the different strategy. You can't read it. I'll go into it. Of how did we get to the reach of people? How did we decentralize? We decentralized trials. Patients didn't have to leave their homes. They were in the comforts of their own homes. But then there was still a challenge, because I'm sure everybody will know at least one person where a friend, a family, or somebody has been affected by COVID and actually even may have lost some of their loved ones. Then I'm going to tell you, will you join my trial? That is the challenge. Can you see where we were going with this? And everybody was, and many people were facing periods of lockdown. So that's the strategy. And then how we are, where the recruitment began, where we did a virology section of the panoramic trial, where we're looking at the post-viral loading as well. How badly, how is certain communities more affected? Does the drug reduce the viral loading? Is also wanted because families were affected, households were affected. And this is where really it gets interesting. We reported that panoramic finds does not reduce COVID-19 hospitalization deaths in vaccinated people. Whilst molnupiravir showed positive outcomes in the unvaccinated populations, in the UK at that time, more than 90-95% of people were vaccinated. We wanted to find out, does molnupiravir work within the vaccinated population, so that we can then see that this would be cost effective in our own community and our own population. That was the test here. And that's why evidence-based practice is how we need to move forward with. And that was showcased in the Lancet and various platforms published in the Lancet as well. The treatment was, however, associated with faster recovery time and reduced viral detection and load. And participants who received molnupiravir reported feeling better compared to those who received usual care. And once well, more often they stayed well as well. That was the... Okay. And this is where my role comes in. And I want you to bear with me on this. We mentioned race, ethnicity by the regulators. That within the UK, people from black ethnic minority origin, Asians, Indians, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, were 30% more likely to die or be affected by COVID-19 compared to the white UK population. So we were at higher risk of being affected. So therefore it was important that we also got those people, if the treatment was working, that they were able to reach out to those drugs if effective. And that meant we needed to recruit right across the spectrum of diversity, not just one cohort. And why is it important to have equity in inclusion of clinical trials? This will show you an example. If you didn't know, some students may know, or etc. We were using pulse oximeters. How many used pulse oximeters during COVID here? Brilliant. So if you look at pulse oximeters, what we found was the darker the skin, the less absorption the radiation. So your oxygen saturation levels would be inaccurate, and everybody was using pulse oximeters. Why? Because when medical devices such as pulse oximeters were tested, they were tested largely on white skin. So the effect on people with skin color, we didn't know. Less likely to be affected, therefore more adversely affected, less likely to be accurate, more likely to be affected by COVID-19, less likely to get the treatment as urgently as the others. That's where you're widening the health inequalities. That's why we want generalization, representability in terms of research that actually is effective for everybody, not just a small cohort of people or the majority cohort. If you look at clopidogrel, how many people know about clopidogrel? Used to prevent heart attacks, right? Study in Pakistani and Bangladeshi population communities showed that 30% of the clopidogrel once taken, people from Pakistani and Bangladeshi origin were 30% less likely to activate clopidogrel in the bloodstream. Yet, people from South Asian background, Indian, Pakistani and Bangladeshi, were nearly twice as more likely to have heart attacks. So therefore, once you have your drug, you're 30% less likely to be effective compared to my white colleague or my white friend out there, even though your risk is even higher. This is why you need equity in research. And that's why the COVID-19 trials, when they started with Principle and Panorama, which is where my role came in, the Principle trial started in 2020 in February, March time, looking at repurposed medicines. Can we find something? Antibiotics, ivermectin, whatever that we think, budesonide inhaler, reducing those symptoms, reducing hospitalization. Hospitals were crammed with people. We didn't have space. And, that was the case in most countries. But what we were finding, the Principle team were finding that people from black and ethnic minority origin were not still recruited to the levels that they wanted in the trials. And it was, I've marked it, September 2020. So nearly 6 months down the line, they really regrouped and decided and appointed me to help increase the inclusivity and raise the profile of the trials and participation to the trial from the people who are more adversely affected by COVID-19. And what did I do really? And it's this recruitment strategy that was also published in the Lancet, and we've also presented in various platforms. And you can see, and this is where it will relate to you people. And it was great, the team at Oxford realized, and this is, I have a lot of respect for everybody at Oxford, that they were doing something and they were still thinking we need to get the people that are more adversely affected. And this was a strategy. We use UK-wide pharmacy networks. We use faith-based organizations, places of worship, national local community groups, university communities, primary care and healthcare professions, and NHS, National Health Service organizations. And the media. We talked about social media. And we talk about how do we get the visibility? Where is he? He's gone. I think he's gone. Oh, no, he's here. that we were talking about adverse effects. Adverse effects, people, or adverse drug reactions, people like us will give adverse drug reaction because we are informed, we are well informed. But we need to speak to the wider audience if you want to get the representation of how it affects people. Otherwise, you're going to polarize your evidence. And that's what we want. So we use various strategies. We use media. You know, in COVID-19, there is a perception that people of elderly age that may not be particularly from South Asian backgrounds where language communication may still be a problem in the UK. In some parts, can they access social media? Can we get platforms on? How do we reach out to those communities? That was where and we were using radio station, media, that was me in Punjabi, or on a Punjabi station, on a television station. From a black perspective, we were doing videos so that it was people who are doing carrying out the research needs to be looking like the people that are coming forward to do the research. Otherwise, it's a us and them situation, and to give you that confidence. So as you can see, this inclusion diversity strategy also on its own was reported in the Lancet because it was novel. We reached the whole countries, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland. And we also use pharmacy group, which this is where we are here. When do we use those pharmacy network? It's the collaboration. And you can see on there, in the UK, the most influential temple is the BAPS Swaminarayan Temple in London. Right? And I always say to my white colleagues who may not understand the influence of the Swaminarayan Temple, that talking and doing and actually asking them to do something is like talking to the Pope at the Vatican to influence, because they don't just change things like that. Managed to work with the Board of Trustees and got them on board. And you'll see the impact of that alone. So, earlier novel recruitment strategy was reported by the Lancet. Recruitment for both trials was comparable to national census data. Historically, we do not recruit enough people from black ethnic minority origin, people living in underserved areas, people living in areas of high deprivation. We made sure we could get these trials right out to, we have 4 countries, England, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland in the United Kingdom. How do we get it out? How do we make it more visible? And the pharmacy network was leveraged to support wider recruitment. These are the foot soldiers. And it's dispelling very vigorously the notion that, do you ever have in India hard to reach communities? Is there something called hard to, young lady is there nodding. It used to be used in the UK. We've now stopped using it because there is no such thing as hard to reach communities. We have to up our game and we have to understand the communities, the different diverse communities, what their needs are, what their understanding is, what their barriers are. If we are going to work with them to recruit, and if we want to improve their health and health outcomes, it is not a one size fits all. As I've said, it's been internationally showcased on various platforms. Not only that, our outreach strategy was presented at the United Nations in New York. And this is what pharmacy did. It hit all pharmacy press, whether it was England, whether it was Scotland, whether it was Wales, whether it was Northern Ireland. And I was getting all the pharmacy networks to push for the trials, in promoting the trials, how pharmacists and their teams can play an important part in increasing the visibility of the trials. And the very people that actually had the trust as well, that were adversely affected, could actually even call up saying, I've got COVID, what do I do? They can signpost them to the trials, etc., etc. This is getting to the very hearts of the communities. And it was on media everywhere. Whether it was Boots, which is the largest UK community pharmacy chain, all the large multiple community pharmacy chains came on board, the Boots, the Lloyds, the Wells, Superdrug, etc., etc. And it was then showcased in various, as they moved on. Scotland, 1,200 pharmacies supported our trials through promoting the poster, through their websites, etc. Except one pharmacy in Scotland. I'm still trying to find out what happened to that one pharmacy. But that was every pharmacy in Scotland was promoting the trial. Just watch this. That's the growth of community pharmacy. When Superdrug came on, when Well Pharmacy came on, when Lloyd's Pharmacy came on, and then when Boots UK came on. We flooded the whole UK with the visibility of the trials. So out of 1,250 community pharmacies at the time, over 8,500 community pharmacies were promoting our trials for principle. And that was possibly an underestimate. And this is at a time when everybody was challenged. Do they really want to support the trials when everybody are so busy? Everybody are dealing with personal issues at home, etc., etc. And actually you can't see it, but if you scan that, anybody that was living within, there would be a pharmacy near where they lived promoting the trials. And it also helped with a positive pharmacy care law, which is that within the most deprived parts of England, you are within 20 minutes walking distance of a pharmacy. So that means that was the resource that we were utilizing as well. We got the regulators on board. The General Pharmaceutical Council has set a precedence on clinical trials. I managed to work with the General Pharmaceutical Council, the regulators, for our pharmacy profession and pharmacy teams, pharmacy technicians, and they promoted on their own website. And they also sent emails out through their information letter to all the registrants to support the trial in helping to promote it. So this was another strategy. We're now working with the other regulators, medical, nursing, dental, because as you know, if a regulator stands up, he's going to have, or she is going to have more value than me just saying, please do this. Right? So this was coming, and we're looking at how the regulator can play a part in supporting clinical trials. This was the first of its kind. But we also have to remember that COVID wasn't just affecting people from black and ethnic minority origin. And this is very close to my heart. Fortunately, I don't have anybody with any disabilities in my home or my family, so there's no personal interest here. Even though of Indian origin, I'm very biased towards from an ethnicity perspective. People with learning disability were 4 to 6... People with learning disability were 4 to 6 times more likely to die from COVID. But did we hear about them? Did we see them? Did anybody talk about them? Right? This is why we want to cross right across that diversity spectrum in recruiting people to clinical trials and not leaving out those people that are most affected. And this was a champion. Will Browning is a Paralympic champion, and he did a video for us so he could share it within the learning community as well, learning disability community, with his sister there. His sister became a PPI champion, so they were advising the patient public involvement on our trials as what is needed for that community. This is. Have a look at this. This was the influence of the BAPS Neasden Temple. Can you people see the red line, the red circle? I hope you can. There's two graphs, two lines on here. There's a darker one and then a lighter one. The lighter one, the underneath graph, shows the number of people visiting our website, the clinical trial website at the University of Oxford during COVID. It's a 61-day average. The darker line shows when the head priest of Europe made one announcement promoting the trials, the number of people visiting our website increased threefold. That has made news everywhere. Just one announcement. 200,000 followers in the UK during COVID, and this is how we reach out to diverse communities. This is the influence of places of worship. As I said, it's been presented as part of our outreach work in the United Nations in New York in 2022, also in Lancet. So it was recognized in terms of our... And we now work very closely with the Neasden Temple, as you saw there on improving other health and health outcomes and engaging that community to help towards research. And look at the messages, whether it was Indian Express, whether it was in European news, and it became the top news item at the University of Oxford. Britain's most influential Hindu temple spreads awareness of the principal trial among the Indian community. That made everybody's... Can you change it? Okay. I mentioned university cohorts. What did we do with the university champion? The university areas where I looked at universities in areas where it was densely populated with people from Black, South Asian backgrounds. And this became exemplar model. It is now being showcased again, presented as using university students. And these were not pharmacy or medical students. These were international students who then produced videos in 10 different languages. In Marathi, in Urdu, in Punjabi, in Arabic. You know, and these videos were then promoted throughout the communities to showcase and support the trials. This is moving all the communities as much as we can in terms of raising the awareness. But not only did they do that, they did something really innovative. The Vice Chancellor supported, even they produced their own hoodies. This did not come from the University of Oxford. There was no money spent on this activity. Promoting the trials, and they went out in shopping malls, in areas of high footfall. They even produced their own flyers and banners and their leaflets in different languages. And not only did they do it for the principal trial, a year later when we produced the panoramic trial, we did the same thing again as well. So it was sustainable. It wasn't just, generosity out of COVID. This is another first. So whilst we saw the influence of the BAPS Swaminarayan temple, we also you saw about the vaccine hesitancy and people's belief and attitudes, and the disinformation, the misinformation. How do we get them coming forward? So engaging into clinical trials then became an even bigger mountain to climb. So how do we dispel this doubt? So we brought the British Islamic Medical Association and the Muslim Council of Britain to work together. And what they did was, on our flyer, on our poster, we included a quote from the Quran as an act of humanity to join as an act of humanity. That Allah says in the Quran, whoever saved one life, it is as if they saved the whole of humanity. And we use that as a promotion towards people engaging in research from an Islamic perspective, a faith. And this was reaching out to all Muslims in the UK. And this was done during the Friday prayers of Jummah and by the Imams. So this is not, you can see, not just me being a Hindu. It is cutting right across faith, religion, race, ethnicity, and areas of deprivation. Not only did it do that, then I went on the TV Islam channel, which is the largest watched TV channel by Muslims in the UK, with a 1-hour interview with the British Islamic Medical Association promoting the panoramic trial. But we also used people of influence. Can you imagine what if the cricket players actually said a message here? It would go viral. So whilst there was no dedicated investment for this strategy. So I managed, you won't recognize these people, but the gentleman on the right used to be on our television. He's a fitness guru, Mr. Motivator. And obviously you can see from a black origin. So we wanted to bring the black communities in together as well. So he produced 7 videos for us that we promoted there was no payment. Remember, we have not used any money to actually get these people on board. But he wants to support the community. He wants to support the wider community, not just the black African population as well. And then, how many people, there's a younger audience here, how many people are on Instagram? Watch all the hands go up now. There you go. That's the biggest hands you'll ever see. Right? You may not be able to see this. So this lady is an entrepreneur. And she asked on a Wednesday, I would like to invite you on our show promoting the trial for COVID-19 for our communities. It was a live Instagram discussion for 1.5 hours. Now, I've never done an Instagram interview. I don't know what do you do on Instagram. I'm too old for that. She put it out on Wednesday, on the Thursday. For the interview was going to be on the Friday night. She put her flyer out on her post on the Thursday night. She got 9,500 hits just promoting the fact that we were going to discuss the COVID-19 trial. On the Friday evening, I don't know what happens in India. In the UK, Friday evening, everybody is, gone in many ways. They want to relax, put their feet up, etc., or do other things. I better not say. So Friday evening at 7:30, I thought that's almost like a graveyard shift. How many people are going to turn up? 10,500 people turned up on that live Instagram. This is directing to that community. This is showing what we can do with social media. And we often say, well, how did we get to our communities? COVID-19, social media became a platform for everybody to join, because if you had relative friends overseas, abroad, in parts of India or wherever, and you can't speak to them because of COVID, everybody was turning to Facebook, etc., etc. So social media became a real environment to share that message on. And people also started learning about social media. And now I've got 90-year-olds on Instagram and showing me what to do. So let's not miss some of these platforms. This became part of CPD at the National Institute of Health Research on both trials. And that is the British Association of Physicians of Indian Origin, where I brought them together on a Friday evening, where they had the largest attendance. And again, that was CPD accredited by the medical profession. I'm going to finish soon. The evidence behind all this culminated in a historic establishment at the University of Oxford with a Centre for Research Equity. Because we realize now, how do we make inclusive trials? How do we support more inclusion? How do we make evidence more representable? And that was a real milestone for us. And we launched that last May, 2023 May. So we just had our first year anniversary, and we also won a prestigious award for the at the time on the Race Equity Incubator Award, which is supporting people from Black and ethnic minority to engage in research in terms of supporting career progression, so that people looking here, I'm looking at a purely ethnic minority background. In this case, is a majority. But if that was in the UK, you would be an ethnic minority background. And then you have white faces doing all the research. You'd be thinking, this is not for me. So that's part of that. So there should be no hesitancy about who is doing the research. This is another one of the highlights. If you don't, please Google and have a look at our website, Oxford Primary Care website. And this is history. We talk about COVID, and I've been sharing this. In years to come, younger people at the back here particularly, when you get married and settled, and if you are not already married, and your families and your children, everybody will look back at COVID as a historical thing. Like the plague. And what did we do? And we wore masks, and we isolated, and we were in, etc., etc. And how did we manage during that period when it killed thousands, millions of people globally? So we commissioned an artist to capture the work of the principal and panoramic trial. In her eyes, an international artist that displayed the work of the trials without any prejudice. And she lives in France, Tanyapul. And she then worked with the different people discussed from England, Scotland, Wales. And it's not, we always talk about, let's have the biggest person in the trial right at the front. We wanted her to decide whoever she felt would make a story in years to come, in generations to come, that would be really impactful. So it was not about having Sir TV Narayan, he has to be here. It is, what about the people behind the scenes? What about the patient public participation? What about people from different countries? And that's what she captured. And you can see again, my disability friends, the patient participants. So not just from an ethnic minority perspective. And Komi, who sadly passed away on the left-hand side, she was actually putting together papers to publish, but has passed away recently. And it became part of art. So historically. And what did we do with this art? And you can see that on there. I don't know if these slides are available. So it was groundbreaking art exhibition, which was unveiled at our celebratory symposium a few months ago around what we've achieved in COVID, which will be seen by so many people. And that groundbreaking artwork went to Northern Ireland only three weeks ago. In the Parliament building at Stormont in Belfast, in Northern Ireland. And that artwork is now exhibited. In fact, yesterday it came back to Oxford. So it's been displayed in galleries around where we can, but in Parliament building, because there was obviously Northern Ireland contribution to the fantastic contribution they had as well. So it's for everybody. And showcasing 15 or 16 portraits. And it wasn't the people who did the most, it was telling that journey. And that became real value as well. And that these are the things. And do you know, there is 3 people of Indian origin in that artwork. That is something we as Indians should be proud of. Out of 15, 3 are represented by Indians, whether if it's as a researcher, or whether if it is a patient and public participant, or whether if it is a patient public involvement advisor. That is going to make history, or it's going to be seen in history from an Indian perspective of all the people that was involved, that tells the journey. Of course, there were so many that contributed even more than the people that were on the portrait, but it tells the story about where we are. This led to the historic 3 weeks ago, June 2024. And that's why even me coming here was a little bit of a tricky situation. June 2024, we produced a research equity manifesto for Northern Ireland. In Northern Ireland, the issues around health inequalities, health and care inequalities, has been prominent for many years, for decades. And how do we use that nation as a platform to help improving health and care outcomes, reduce inequalities through inclusive research? And we produced a manifesto which was launched at Stormont by the health minister who gave his time to support this during a time of election for the UK. And that became news on as a historic partnership. And you may want to scan that. You'll see the manifesto. Do you want to move it? So let me take you this. We've just won the World Champions, right? Take a message. Success can take time. You just need to ask Virat and the India team. So let's keep going, working together as one team for pharmacy, for the people of India and the health and health outcomes, for the better health of our nation and all its communities. We can do it. It took 14 years to become champions for Virat. It doesn't take long for us to do it as well. So there's a call to action. And my call to action is, can you hear behind there? I invite all of you to join us in our mission to advance public sector research. And we welcome collaborations. You know, it's not just Oxford are working within Oxford, or, we need to build these international partnerships with various organizations. We also have IQVIA now as a partner for the Center for Research Equity, the world's largest clinical research organization. And we welcome collaboration with researchers, pharmaceutical companies, and other stakeholders. How can we work in, actually the common agenda is improving health and health outcomes through research. It doesn't matter whether it's India or Pakistan or UK or Philippines, wherever. It's how are we working together. And India in many ways are leading the way. I see such excellent, I was talking to some young ladies yesterday who really inspired me. And I always get inspired when I talk to these younger people. I think these older people need to take a back seat at times. I'm only joking. But they're the inspiration. So let's work together to ensure that the future research is inclusive, equitable, and impactful. There are numerous opportunities for partnership and funding, and we're excited about the possibilities ahead of how we can do that. And wouldn't it be great if we can have that artwork exhibited in India through some of our government offices and galleries, showcasing the world where India have been represented. So I'm going to leave you with a small quote. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, for indeed that's all who ever have. So don't doubt yourself. Thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time. I would ask our chairperson, Michelle, attempt to conclude.
Thank you, Dr. Mahendra Patel ji, for your wonderful and inspiring talk. And you touched upon a subject which is equity in health research and how you achieved it, and the maximum number of
Can't hear.
trial participants. Yeah, hope I'm audible now.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you touched upon a very important subject, that is equity in health research, and how through the Oxford Panoramic Trial you could recruit quickly patients to participate by reaching out to pharmacies, to reaching out to religious spots, and how you can enhance recruitment of ethnic minorities in clinical trial. That is a great initiative, and I would actually congratulate you on this great achievement. And let's put together hands for Dr. Patel.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Indeed, your achievement is worth celebrating, not only in UK but also in India. And I take this opportunity to, once again congratulate you for coming all the way to India and participating in this conference and inspiring our minds for innovative trials and innovative panoramic, participation in trials. Very good presentation.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.